Yeah. Good morning, everybody. As we all know, this is a meeting of Gedling Borough Council's Licensing Committee, the Licensing Act panel. The audio of this meeting is being live broadcast on the Council's website, so you might want to remember that. We are here to determine the application for Sully's Bistro Cafe and Bar on Front Street, Arnold, Nottingham. I'm Marge Paling, the chair of the meeting. On my left, I have Councillor Nikki Brooks, and on her left, Councillor Clive Towsey-Hinton. We will be making the decision today. On my right, I have someone from legal. Craig is here to make sure I stay on the straight and narrow. He tries. And on his right, we have Kate, who takes notes so that we get all the decisions absolutely correct. If you need last names, Craig also?
Craig Alcock.
Alcock, and Kate Goodall.
Thank you very much indeed. Kate, we've actually brought sorry about that. We've actually brought notes of what Aisling's going to be saying. So, as concerns furiously writing down it all, we're going to get a copy of it after. So that should save you a job. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That will be very useful. So can I ask you to introduce yourselves? I'll start over here, I think.
Beth Wheatley, resident of Smithy Crescent.
Brian Hudson, also a resident of Smithy Crescent.
Are you both wanting to speak, or have you decided that just one of you will make the points? I'll leave that. Okay, I'll let you speak when it's your turn. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of you.
Sorry, that's Sidra. She's our legal intern, so she's just observing the process today.
So we have Sidra, a legal intern, sitting there just observing how we go about the process. Can I ask your team to introduce?
Yes, certainly. My name is Nick Semper, and I am a member of the licensing guys. We're licensing consultants and agents. Presenting before you today is Ash. She's recently joining us. So that's Miss Aisling Russell. That's spelled strangely because it's Irish. It's Aisling. Oh, see, I got it wrong. There you go. But we call her Ash because we can't spell it. And here is the applicant. This is Mr. Solomon Bazar.
Good morning, Mr. Bazar. And at the back, there are three people from the team, the Environment and Licensing team. Two are relatively new here to make sure they get to know the proceedings. And I think you may already know Kevin Neelan, the head of the team. So thank you very much for that. We have read the bundle presented by the clerk, which introduces the application and the representations, more than the two from people present. But there have been no representations from any of the responsible authorities. And for your information, that is the police or planning or environmental health, such as from the noise point of view. So I'm going to ask the applicant, or you, Ash, in this case, to present the case. Then there can be questions. There aren't any interested parties to ask the questions, but the panel may want to. So if there are, and then if you want, you'll be given the opportunity, and then the applicant will be asked to sum up. The panel will, you can make your comments, and then people may question your comments and make points about them, including us. And then we will ask you to sum up, and then we will leave, get another cup of coffee probably, and make our decision as quickly as possible to come back. And we'll give our reasons for our decision. So, with that, can I ask you to begin, Ash?
Good morning, members. This application refers to a new bistro and cafe at 84 Front Street, Arnold, that has to date sold no alcohol to anyone. The applicant is a limited company at the same name and the director as Suleiman Bazar, who will also be the DPS. He has never had any problems involving the police or council whatsoever. He's also owns a business on this street, number 96, a hairdresser's. So he's already part of the community and knows the area well. Each application must be judged on its own facts and merits. In this application, the burden is on the applicant to show that the proposals in the operating schedule are capable of promoting the licensing objectives and will not undermine them. The representatives opposing the application, on the other hand, have the burden to show that these premises trading under this operating schedule will undermine the licensing objectives and demonstrate that with evidence. In our submission, any subcommittee properly advised could only refuse this application if this operating schedule is found on the evidence of the representatives to be not capable of promoting the licensing objectives. Significantly, there is not a shred of evidence in the representations or before you today that challenges or criticises in any way the operating schedule. The premises themselves, the applicant and the designated premises supervisor, that members is an undeniable, indelible and self-evident fact. So let me walk you through who has, or rather has not, raised any representation. The police being the leading responsible authority and source of expert evidence on all crime, disorder and antisocial behaviour issues in the Arnold area, asked for some, in their words, not too dissimilar wordings of conditions already proposed by the applicant around CCTV and Challenge 25, which we have been pleased to agree. Consequently, there is no outstanding representation. The licensing authority, being the lead responsible authority for all licensing matters in Chichester, have made no representation either.
Sorry, in Nottingham.
Oh, Nottingham, sorry. Most significantly, environmental health, being the lead responsible authority, who deal with quality of life and pollution issues, have raised no representation. However, they have contributed to the process, and I will address you on that later. Trading Standards and Children's Services, who protect children from harm, public health, who deal with substance misuse, and the Planning and Highways Departments all raise no objections. This is an evidence-based decision-making process. You cannot be insensible to the fact that none of the responsible authorities has objected to this application, and they are the licensing experts. You can therefore rightly assume that, in the opinion of all the responsible authorities in Nottingham, not only does this application not undermine the licensing objectives, but it does indeed promote them. Otherwise, they would be here to argue vehemently against it, as is their statutory duty. On the other hand, we have the representations from several parties, which I will now go through. These are grouped under broad headings. So first is no need for another. Firstly, some representatives claim that due to the presence of other pre-existing pubs and bars on Front Street, there is no need for another. That's certainly an opinion, but not a relevant consideration for you today, because paragraph 1419 of the 182 guidance tells us that the need concerns commercial demand and is a matter for the planning authority and for the market. This is not a matter for a licensing authority in discharging its licensing functions. So 2 is crime and antisocial behaviour. There are speculations about an anticipated rise in crime and antisocial behaviour were this licence to be granted, and a loss of amenity in the car park to the rear of the business, whereby people are already urinating and defecating there, resulting in unpleasant smells. Apparently, the previous occupiers have allowed persons onto the roof as well. On that, I say this. The police, who are the go-to experts on crime and antisocial behaviour issues, do not anticipate these issues. Now, if there are indeed pre-existing issues with that car park, then the representatives need to report these matters to the local policing team, who agree their patrol priorities with the public. These pre-existing problems have nothing to do with this applicant or these premises who have sold no alcohol to anyone to date. And these concerns are not evidence-based but are founded in fear and speculation about what might happen. There are two main reasons why speculation is not admissible in these proceedings. Paragraph 943 of the 182 guidance clearly states that the authority's determination should be evidence-based. Fear and speculation on what might or might not happen is not evidence. 2, there was a ruling in the case of Daniel Thwaites plc versus Borough Magistrates Court at the High Court of Justice Queen's Bench Division Administrative Court on 6th of May 2008 before the Honourable Mrs. Justice Black. In this case, she summed up at paragraph 34 that conditions should only be attached to a licence with a view to promoting the licensing objectives, and that real evidence must be presented to support the reason for imposing these conditions. I move on to noise pollution. By far the most common theme throughout these representations is speculation about noise pollution from live and recorded music, neither of which form part of this application. But clearly local residents at the rear of the premises across a car park worry that there is already noise escaping from the premises, from other premises in Front Street, my apologies, especially on summer evenings when businesses allow people to smoke out the back. As a consequence, I wrote to all the representatives via the licensing authority on the 27th of January, removing the request for recorded music from the application in its entirety. Therefore, the licensable activity of live and recorded music forms no part of this application or these proceedings today whatsoever. Furthermore, we offered the additional licence conditions. 1, noise or vibration shall not emanate from the premises so as to cause a nuisance. 2, the premises licence holder or DPS must immediately comply with any request to adjust noise levels, frequency spectra, made by an authorised person, as defined by Section 13 of the Licensing Act 2003 or the police. 3, all doors and windows at the premises shall be kept closed after 2200 hours, except during immediate access and egress. 4, prominent, clear and legible signage in not less than 32 font bold shall be displayed at all exits to the premises, requesting the public to respect the needs of local residents and to leave the premises and area quietly. And lastly, number 5, the rear doors to the premises shall remain closed during opening times when the premises is engaged in licensable activities. I will take Ms. Pentlow's advice on this matter, but as far as I can see, our sensible and generous offer of conditions which would have effectively designed out the very concerns articulated in these representations has been rejected, and so consequently our offer is withdrawn. Now, I am not an expert in noise pollution, and seemingly neither are the representatives, but we are blessed that there has been one such expert involved in the process throughout. Prior to offering these concessions, which were rebuffed, Mr. William Langston, the Technical Environmental Health Officer for Gedling, undoubtedly the Council's own source of expert advice on this subject, wrote to the Licensing Authority on the 6th of January, I paraphrased, and this is what he said. I have checked the licences of other establishments in the area and found those licences to be similar to what have been applied for here. I have considered noise impact on local residences. However, there are none immediately adjacent to the proposed licensed premises, and there will be no rear access for customers, so noise will only be projected to the front of the premises on Front Street. There are no residences in this section of Front Street. If the proposed licensed premises begins causing issues for neighbours, the council will consider serving an abatement notice, as we have done on other premises on Front Street. As such, I have no objections against this application. Mr. Langston is absolutely correct in my submission. There is nothing new, singular or unreasonable proposed in this application. There are no noise-sensitive premises or residences in the immediate vicinity. Were there to be problems, he would deal with them in exactly the same way that he has done with any neighbouring premises. Of course, you will already be aware of your powers of review under Section 51 of the Licensing Act regarding public nuisance anyway. So there are in fact two separate and distinct routes to resolving any problems, if they were to occur in future. Members, please give the professional expertise and opinion of Mr Langston the appropriate weight in your deliberations. So in summary, this hearing is simply about whether these premises operating under this operating schedule will undermine or promote the licensing objectives. Clearly, my position is that it does not undermine, but does indeed promote them, and the responsible authorities raise no issue with its substance, content, and inbuilt safeguards. Consequently, I respectfully request that you grant this modest application for a premises licence as sought, including the comprehensive raft of effective conditions, and in doing so, wish this new premises and Suleiman every ongoing success in serving his community with his new business venture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, I'm going to ask everybody in turn, starting with you as interested parties. If you have any questions, you'll be able to present your own objections after we've sorted out any of the questions. So, do you have any questions about that report? No? Thank you. Do either of you have any questions? No? Okay. Do you have any questions?
Can I?
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay. No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I will then move on to asking you to present your objections so that we can check if there's anything in there that we feel needs answering, having heard what has been said. Okay, thank you very much.
I can't speak like the lady there. I don't know legalities. I don't know council procedures. What I can say, it comes from the heart as a resident and experience. Somebody has done a report saying that there is no noise objective. How would they know? They don't live in my property or any of the others. They don't have to put up with any noise that we do, vibrations, bass levels echoing through the properties. The property's construction are hollow on the upstairs. That's the design of the buildings. You can imagine there's no sound barrier. Noise echoes across the car park at night when it's empty. The sound barrier is our houses. We shouldn't have to live with that. Our quality of life shouldn't have to put up with it. I know that's probably not a legal objective, but that comes from the heart as a resident. As far as the police are concerned, we do call them frequently. By the time they get out, the hooligans have upped and offed. They can't lock the gate that gives access to the roofs because it's a fire hazard. You can't stop it. You can't stop the number of fires that we've had. We've had council equipment in our house recording, trying to catch culprits in the past. You can't stop antisocial behaviour. The Nottinghamshire Police website for the month of December has 12 incidents of public order offences, 6 of which are antisocial behaviour, in that car park alone, and that's just December. How can they say that there's going to be no noise? What about the staff leaving at closing time, after 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, emptying the bins, chatting, starting the cars up, revving their engines? Do we really have to live like that? It's not fair. It's probably not a legal challenge, but that's the feeling of most of the residents. We have to put up with a lot as it is. People walk through that car park through our alleyway going home at night, drunk, shouting, making a noise. On our street alone, police are often called. Just a few months ago, there was a massive police presence because someone stole someone's bracelet. Young people, drunk. Everybody's awake when that happens. Our sleep gets disturbed, and if you're going to work in the morning, you've got to get up early. Well, that's the price you pay for living there. Shouldn't be like that. We've got so many bars and clubs in Arnold. I know it's not an argument that we really don't need one more, but do we really need one more? That property has never had a licence, as you rightly said. It's never sold alcohol before. Why change it now? Can people really afford to go out and get drunk at the moment? Probably not. Exactly. Why would that serve our community? We have enough pubs, clubs, bars, micro pubs that already serve the community. We really don't need one more. What we need are some good shops or some nice little cafes. not alcohol premises. That's all I've got to say.
Well, thank you for that. As you commented yourself, you recognise that most of your comments weren't part of the official objections that can be made. I do hear what you say, so I'm going to say, are there any questions that people want to ask about that? Would you like to make...
I totally understand this lady is talking from the heart, and we've got some things to say about this. But rather than it becoming a discussion, a ping-pongy thing, I will probably address them in summary. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine with me.
Superb.
Do I have... Yes, please. Councillor Brooks.
I'd just like to say, obviously, I've got terrible, I can't imagine what it would be like for you. I've got incredible sympathy for you. You did say that there were 12 police reports. Are you reporting to the police yourself when there are incidents? Thank you, because that's one of the worst things we get is people saying, oh, there's all this trouble. And I say, well, have you reported it to the police? They say, well, no, they don't do anything. Well, they won't do anything if they don't know about it. So, and that's something that you need to continue to do.
We also report to environmental health, but obviously they're only open 9 to 5. These things happen at night. There's no one there to take any calls.
However, I do understand that environmental health have served abatement notices on the other properties that are already there, and if necessary, will serve again, and it could cause those properties to come before us for review if they are continuing to make a lot of noise, which they have done. They did do especially last summer.
Yes, we also feel that that's a bit like bolting the stable door after the horse has gone.
I was going to say the same thing. Every call is logged by the police and the environmental health, and they do tot up, as it were. So if a premises was constantly being addressed as being a problem premises, then eventually the totting up does trigger a further inquiry and more investigation as to why it's taking place.
But how long does that take in reality? Meanwhile, we're living with that.
That, unfortunately, I can't say. Yeah, I do sympathise. I've read all of the objections from all of the residents, and believe you me, I feel for you. I live not far from what used to be a licensed premises, but it's closed now. It's now flats, but we did used to have problems at 12 o'clock at night, at kicking out time, as it were. But we are assured that the rear of the premises will not be opened up to expose noise to the rear.
Will that include the staff leaving, though?
I'll explain this to you, okay?
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Do you wish to make any comment? Thank you. So, have you anything else to sum up? Thank you. Okay, so would you like to sum up and make your comments on that?
The summary, again, the first thing the lady said is you can't compete with this young lady because this is what she's learning to do for a living. And these things are much better when they become a discussion led by the licensing authority. I read that somewhere. It's actually in the Section 182 guidance. So let's have this conversation with Beth and Brian, okay? Right. How do they know about noise leakage? How does Mr. Langston know about noise leakage, noise escape from premises in Front Street? He's already serving noise abatement notices up there. To do that, he's going to need technical equipment. He's going to obviously do his own observations as well, and he's put his team in there. It's a shame he's not here to be able to give evidence to that effect, but that's a particular question you asked. Right. Like I used to, well, just a little bit about me. Before I did this, I was a local policing commander elsewhere in the country, and I used to run a little city, okay? And you say that you can't stop ASB. Well, actually, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'll tell you how you do, if that helps, because we were very successful at this. First of all, you ask your local policing team to put in what are called nomad cameras, which are temporary CCTV cameras over a particular area. And then you advertise to the kids. You've done exactly that. Okay, and you can't knock the power off to them. They power themselves, or they power off the lamppost you attach them to, and they're there for a limited time or however long they are needed to drive down or indeed displace that problem. You're saying that nobody is taking any notice of you, right? All these reports about ASB. What you do is you go online, you have a look at Nottinghamshire Police and Gedling Borough Council. There'll be something called the community trigger, right? And that's a mechanism for almost fast-tracking your particular concerns that every councillor here and us and the applicant completely get, understand and sympathise with. Okay, so have a look at the mechanism for community trigger. It was provided as part of the antisocial behaviour legislation that will get you the relief, activity, action that you require, and hopefully the remedy. Right, as concerns you wanting cafes and other things, shops and things like that, those are planning, and you recognise that. When you go up and down a front street, you'll see that set amongst the brick pavers at the front, there are red bricks. And these show the area that is actually owned by the shop. And this young man intends to be able to run, this is one building, 100 uses, if you know what I mean. This place will be a cafe. And, you know, during certain times of the day, and people will be able to sit outside and add to the amenity. I forgot an important point. Suleiman has been, you don't remember, he's been here since 2007. He already runs a business in that street. He's not somebody coming in trying to make a fast buck. He's invested £30,000 into the restoration of that void premises. This is not going to be a drug supermarket full of bloody crazy kids causing you problems, right? And he wants to reassure you of that. He's been moved by, one of the things he was saying to me when you were talking, he's offered to put up 2 cameras, CCTV cameras, at the back of his place, covering as much of the area as he possibly can in accordance with the information compliance, ICO, information compliance officers' recommendations for CCTV systems about surveilling the public space and private systems. But he's going to have a word with his CCTV engineer and see what he can do about that. About noise escape from the back of the premises. Right? That's the plan that's in your bundle. That's the downstairs. When you look, sorry, that's the downstairs. Don't I feel silly now? If you have a look, there is a swing door there that goes to the stairs to take people to the upstairs toilets. He's put disabled toilets downstairs, which is absolutely smashing. When you go through that door there is an airlock, which is that stairwell between there and the back door, right? That back door, he's saying, will not be open when it's operating. You have to be able to open it because it's fire escape, and we don't want people burning to death in premises in Gedling. Okay. He's also going to alarm that back door. So if people decide it's a little bit beneath them to go and vape with everybody else at the front, he will know that someone's opened that door and it will be closed. Okay. So is there anything else I needed to... guys, you were firing things into me when I was talking. Have I covered everything you wanted me to mention?
Yes, sorry.
It's okay.
The alarm.
Yeah, great, good. So have I mentioned everything you wanted me to, sir? Yes. Okay, now look, getting on to the legal stuff now. This hearing is about whether the operating schedule contained within that application promotes or undermines the licensing objectives. My belief is it did. We further went and offered further conditions, okay, as a gesture of goodwill, inviting the representatives to step back and accept that we had effectively designed out all the things they were worried about. Okay, now for whatever reason they didn't, and the lady herself says, look, you know, I don't understand, I'm not familiar with this process. That offer is withdrawn, but that is still a menu of good conditions that you might find, some of which you might find applicable to what you want to achieve around promoting the licensing objectives. But what I would say is this. It's simply about whether the operating schedule that is before you promotes or undermines licensing objective. We think it does, and so do all your licensing experts here in Gedling. Okay? So consequently, we respectfully ask you to grant this licence in the terms within which it's been sought. And on the understanding, we have completely taken on board what Beth and Brian have told us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, with that, we're going to go retire. Please,
Um,
Right, yeah.
You didn't say anything about the staff leaving the premises at night time.
Yeah, that door is going to be locked at all times that it's open.
How do they leave work?
Well, they go out the front door, I dare say. Yeah, sorry, can you help us? Do your staff go in and out the back door when they're leaving premises?
Hi there. Our staff will be leaving from the front of the premises, and the back of the premises, it will be kept as an emergency door, and also loading supplies in the daytime.
Will that include emptying the bins as well during the day?
During the day, we have to use that door
Yeah.
to empty the bins, and also the waste collection from the Gedling Council.
So at night time, you won't.
And the
Be
night
using
time,
that
no,
door?
we will not be using that door at all.
Thank you.
Not at all.
Yes, thank you for that.
Sorry, will the staff be using that car park as well?
As long as they've got a permit, they will be using that car park. Currently we got a permit for 2 cars, and I do hold a permit for my other business on the front streets, exactly looking at the same car park. You know, the hairdresser is right at the end, next to HSBC. The staff who's got permit, they will be using the car park over there, and the rest of the staff will be coming with the bus or other things, I guess. And as long as they got permits, it shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you.
However, it is a public car park and free parking for everyone after 6 p.m. So it could be absolutely anyone who is using that car park. Yes, okay, so thank you very much. I'm going to take myself, the panel and my legal advice. Thank you very much. I think we're going. I'm assuming that the Beeston room is available.
What time would you like us back, please, Matt?
I don't think we'll be very long. 10 minutes at most, I would think.
Smash it. See you at 1:30.
Yeah. Maybe 20, but if you're not back here, we'll wait for you. Okay. I was going to say this. Would you like a cup of coffee? If we can get one.
Sully, have you got a barber's or an hairdresser's?
Thank you, everybody, for waiting. We are going to approve the application. However, we have taken everything that you've said into consideration as to why you've objected. But we believe that the conditions that you offered really do address those concerns, or they are things that will happen in the future, which we hope that some of the conditions. Now, we haven't just accepted the offer that you withdrew straight. I'm going to ask Craig to outline the conditions we are going to impose.
Okay.
But we do hope that they will address your concerns, plus the fact that if it happens in the future that we have antisocial behaviour, we will help you make sure that we can get rid of it with the support of the police and environmental health to the best of our ability. Because it isn't Mr. Bazier's, sorry, I was going to say Mr. Suleiman, but Mr. Bazier's job to do that. He can't just stop antisocial behaviour in Arnold, unfortunately. It'd be great if you could. But maybe some of the things that he will put in place will help. So with that, I'm going to ask Craig to outline the conditions we are going to impose.
Yeah. So as the chair has just mentioned, that the member's decision is to approve the application as per the application, subject to the agreed conditions with the police and the imposition of the additional conditions of all doors and windows of the premises to be kept shut after 10 p.m, except during immediate access and egress. Prominent, clear and legible signage in not less than 32 font bold shall be displayed at all exits of the premise, requesting the public to respect the needs of local residents and leave the premises and the area quietly. And then finally, the rear doors to the premise shall remain closed during opening times when the premise is engaged in licensable activities, with the exception of accepting deliveries within reasonable working hours and use as an emergency exit. The members felt that those would help to promote the licensing objective, particularly escape of noise nuisance, but they are the additional conditions that the members would like to grant the licence with.
And I think in addition, we would welcome the rear camera as long as it meets the requirements and doesn't infringe on the public. So I don't know the full legalities of those, but as long as it's over the fire escape itself.
They are complicated, but the CCTV company that fit these things know those ICO guidelines inside out. And you're right, they're symbiotic. They change from year to year. But it's just a question of wiring in one extra, in fact, he offered two extra cameras, or one you've asked for, over that back area within the system. And so look, thank you very much indeed, all of you. You've been fantastic. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just quickly, one thing we did notice in the application in the bundle, I just wanted to confirm, so the closing hours for Sunday isn't specified. I think it might have just been an oversight. I assume it to be the same as all of the other days.
You assume correctly. That it wasn't me to put that in. That was silly. But whatever.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify that.
It's as per the blue notice. Yeah,
so,
fantastic.
Yeah.
It was over the page, I think, and it's just one box missing.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. You've been more than generous. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for the time. Thank you for making the comments, and I do hope that we're able to move forward and get a better place for you residents, especially on Smithy Close. Thank you.